people of God, if someone comes to you and asks this question, what are you living for? Or who are you living for? I know some single moms, when we go and ask them, why are you living? Or what is your aim in life? They say, I'm living for my children. My husband is no more, so I have to help my children. I have to feed them, I have to bring them up, I have to take care of them. So the reason why I am living is for my children. I mean, so many people have different answers, but as children of God, there is one thing that we all must be sure of. If someone comes to you and asks, why are you living? Remember, Apostle Paul mentioned in Philippians chapter 1, verse 21, the whole and soul purpose for his life. Philippians chapter 1, verse 21. For to me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. Now, Apostle Paul says, if you want to know the purpose of my life, if you ask me why I am living on earth, I can surely say that for me, to live is Christ. That means he is living for Christ. I live on earth for Christ. Now, I want to give you 5 points today about how we can live for Christ. Now, we understood that we have to live for Christ. Why should we live for Christ? If we go back to that question, why should we live for Christ? The life that we have is given by God, right? We are not here on earth accidentally. We are not here on earth because we wanted to be born on this earth, right? We are here on earth because it's God's plan, because it's God's purpose. God put us here on earth. We are alive, we are surviving because God is giving life. God gave us life, and God is extending our life. So every single morning, as soon as we wake up, the first thing we have to do is thank God for each new day, because every new day is a gift from God. If God says it, enough, come back, we have to go back to Him. So this life is not our own. God gave us life, and every single day that God is extending our lives, it is a gift from Him. So we have to remember to live for Him. So what does it mean to live for Christ? If we have to live for Christ, there is one first and basic step. And that first step is, in order to live for Christ, we have to know Christ. Is that right? If you don't know Christ, if you don't know about Him, if you don't understand who Christ is, how can you live for Him? When I went for TCS training in Trivandrum, they gave us 2 months training. So they taught us technology, they trained us on different technologies, and along with that, they also trained us, they taught us foreign language. For each batch, they taught a foreign language. For us, they taught German. In German language is called Deutsch, okay? So we learned a couple of words. If we go to Germany for a project, in order to survive, there's some small, simple words, the words we use every day, like good morning, good night, how are you, all those simple questions, simple words they taught us. Along with the foreign language, they also taught us dining etiquette. So what is dining etiquette? How to use spoons, forks, knives, the way to, hold them, and how to drink soup. Why did they train us all that? The reason is this: after we are placed in a project, if we get an opportunity to go overseas, to go to another country and work, definitely we have to go for lunch or breakfast with the clients. So when we go to lunch or breakfast with the clients, if we don't know how to eat, if we eat with our hands like how we do in India, it's going to be a problem, okay? Because everybody in other countries, they don't use hands. We do it the natural way, right? So we use fingers, but most people in other countries, they use spoons and forks. So they taught us even how to hold this soup cup, or how to hold the knife, which hand to hold it with. Usually we do it every day with different, hands, right? But there is dining etiquette. So they taught us all that. The reason is that is more like a preparation for us for something that is ahead of us. So if we have to live for Christ, the first and important thing is we have to know Christ first. So in Philippians again, let us turn to Philippians chapter 3, verse 10. Let us read Philippians chapter 3, verse 10. Then I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being conformed to his death. Now, Apostle Paul says, I want to know him. So when I say knowing Christ doesn't just mean you know him theoretically, but knowing Christ means to experience Christ. Because Christ is a reality, right? He is not just a concept. He's not just a concept like trigonometry or geometry or something else that we read in the textbooks. Usually when we learn something in the textbooks, we learn it theoretically, and then in the exam when asked a question, we just answer. But knowing Christ means much more than knowing him theoretically. It is much more than reading his word every day. It is much more than listening to God's word in the church every day. Knowing Christ means to know him through your experience. If I ask you, what do you know about Christ? Who is Christ to you? You must have something to say about your own experience with Christ.